They didn't chain you with ropes. They didn't lock your wrists or bind your feet. No, their chains were quieter, invisible, lurking in the corners of your mind. Expectation, judgment, obligation. That's how they held you. That's how they controlled you. You thought you were free. You thought you made your own choices. But every reaction you had, every word you spoke too fast, every spark of anger, they had already planned for it. They knew where you would stumble before you even saw the cracks. And you stumbled. You reacted. You burned. Look at yourself. Look at the patterns that never felt like your own. How often did you speak to defend yourself only to realize the world didn't care? How often did your anger flare only to feed someone else's amusement? You were a weapon pointed at yourself, firing without aim. And still they smiled quietly. They thrived in your chaos. They whispered in the silence you carried. The world is bigger than you. You cannot win. But here's the truth you didn't see. You weren't weak. You weren't broken. You were tethered. And every invisible chain they placed around you was built from their fear, from their comfort in your limitations, from the expectation that you would always react, not decide. Every impulse you followed, every instinct you surrendered to, they thought it meant control. But control is never given, it is taken. And here you are, standing on the edge of awareness, feeling the weight of chains you never knew existed, the habits of reaction ingrained deep in your flesh and blood, the anger you swallowed that never left you, the shame you carried that was never yours. Recognition is the first blade. Awareness is the first strike. You begin to see the patterns, the moments when you leapt before thinking, the moments when your mind was not yours, when your heart beat to someone else's rhythm. It is uncomfortable, it is quiet, it is subtle, but it is powerful. Because the moment you see the chains, the moment you feel them pressing, tightening, that is the moment discipline becomes a possibility. That is the moment you realize that the cage is not around your body. It is around your habit, around your instinct, around the reflex you never questioned. And in that stillness, that awareness, something shifts. A seed takes root in the shadow of your frustration. A thought grows. What if you chose differently? What if you did not react but acted? What if you became the master of your own chaos? They didn't chain you with ropes, they chained you with expectation. But every chain has a weak link. Every pattern has a fracture. Every reaction can be replaced with intent. And that is where your power begins. Every time you lashed out, they smiled quietly. They knew your chaos better than you did. Your fire was never yours. It was borrowed from expectation, from anger, from the impulse to prove something to the world that didn't care. You reacted, you faltered, you burned. Look at those nights, the ones where the room was quiet but your mind screamed. You replayed every word, every gesture, every spark you let fly without thought. You saw the scars you left on yourself, the bridges you burned in seconds, the trust you destroyed in a heartbeat. And for what? For them? For their approval? For the illusion that rage could protect you? The world did not fear your fire. They danced around it. They laughed at the chaos you carried like armor. Every impulse you followed, every scream, every sharp word, it fed them. They thrived in the smoke of your explosion, and you thought it was strength. But strength is patient. Strength waits. Strength controls. Strength decides. Reaction is weakness disguised as heat. Heat that consumes you first. Heat that leaves nothing but ashes in its wake. You remember the mornings after, the ache in your chest, the way your hands shook, the hollow echo of things you cannot take back, the people who left, the apologies you gave that never mattered. Every fire you let loose was a debt, and every debt was paid with silence you wished you could reclaim. You reacted, you faltered, you burned. Do you see it now? The cost of uncontrolled fire, the price of instinct without intention. It is solitude, it is regret. It is the cold realization that your greatest enemy was your own hand, striking without aim. And yet, there is a lesson here. Pain always teaches. Isolation sharpens. Regret carves the lines of precision into your soul. Every misfire, every night spent counting mistakes, every scar, it was forging you. You were molten once, unshaped, uncontrolled, and every explosion left you weaker in the moment, but stronger underneath. Every spark you thought destroyed you, built you. Every ember you wished you could bury became fuel for something far greater. The fire in your veins is not gone. It never leaves, but now it waits. It waits for the decision, not the impulse. It waits for mastery, not chaos. It waits for discipline to temper it, sharpen it, turn it into a weapon that cannot be predicted, cannot be mirrored, cannot be used against you. You reacted, you faltered, you burned, and now you choose, and that choice will consume differently. You paused, not because the world gave you permission, not because someone whispered that you should. You paused because for the first time, you realized that the fire in your veins did not have to own you. It had been relentless, a storm that you thought defined strength. But storms destroy everything they touch. You were tired of destruction. You were tired of burning yourself down, only to rise hollow, only to wonder why the world still moved around you. You chose restraint. The first quiet step is not heroic. It is almost invisible. But it is the first act of war against chaos. It is the first rebellion against the impulses that kept you small. You didn't shout, you didn't strike, you didn't need to. You watched, you observed, and the world went on, unshaken, unaware. And in that moment, a shift occurred. Something inside you settled. Something ancient and raw whispered that control is power, that silence can break more chains than any scream ever could. You chose clarity. It was subtle, a glance instead of a glare, a pause instead of a retort, a measured breath when your instincts demanded action. No one saw it. No one praised it, but you felt it. The tiny, quiet expansion of space between your reaction and your choice. The space where power resides, where domination waits, not over others, but over yourself. You chose yourself, because the first quiet step is always selfish, not in the petty sense, not in the way the world twists selfishness into weakness. It is selfish in the only way that matters. You chose your evolution. You chose your clarity over their chaos. You chose sovereignty over the illusion of control that everyone else demanded you surrender to. The fire did not leave. It waits, but now it is sharpened, tempered, honed into precision rather than explosion. You will remember this step, even when the world tests you, even when the instinct to lash, to shout, to destroy rises. You will remember the quiet. You will remember the pause. You will remember the first time you realized that discipline is not a cage. It is freedom. You chose restraint. You chose clarity. You chose yourself. And in that choice, something was reborn. Something cold. Something sharp. Something that does not bow. Something that waits. And when it moves next, the world will see it, but it will see it too late. The world was asleep, and you were awake. Not out of choice, not for recognition, not for applause. You were awake because survival demanded it, because the chaos you carried inside could no longer be left unchecked, because strength is not given, it is taken. It is forged in the quiet, in the solitude no one respects, in the hours no one witnesses. They called it patience. You called it survival. You sat with your own mind. You rehearsed your answers before the questions even came. You practiced restraint when your instinct screamed for violence. You built shields where there were none. Walls where the world demanded none. Every thought, every hesitation, every pause became armor. Every silence was a lesson. Every measured breath a strike against the chaos that once ruled you. You learned the power of being alone, of being untethered from expectation, untied from the approval of others, untouched by their doubt, their fear, their need to see you crumble. In solitude, the mirrors vanish. No one is reflecting your flaws back at you. No one is judging the rhythm of your progress. It is just you. And for the first time, that is enough. You transformed pain into structure. Every betrayal became a blueprint. Every failure a lesson in precision. Every wound a reminder that weakness is a choice. And you refused it. Again and again. Quietly, patiently, ruthlessly. You rehearsed the storm before it arrived. Not because you wanted it. Not because you feared it. Because you knew it would come. And when it did, you would be ready. They would see the results of a mind sharpened in silence, a body trained in restraint, a presence honed in patience. The world does not notice the silent hours. The world does not value the hidden work. It will never understand that your dominion is built in shadow, that your sovereignty was earned while they slept, and that is why you are unstoppable. No one sees the hours you spent in stillness. No one feels the weight of every controlled choice. No one knows the discipline that runs through your veins. And that is precisely how it should be. The world was asleep, but you were awake, shaping yourself, sharpening yourself, forging the unshakable core that no chaos can touch. They called it patience. You called it survival. And when you finally step into the world again, it will not recognize you. They will see only the edge, the quiet dominance, the controlled storm behind your eyes, the power that began in silence and now moves without announcement. You trained alone. You strengthened alone. You became dangerous alone. And that danger will not forgive hesitation, will not excuse weakness, will not bow. Because mastery begins in solitude. They expected sparks, but you delivered precision. They thought your chaos would betray you, that your temper would betray your mind, that your instincts would betray your control. They never understood. Discipline is a weapon. Silence is sharper than any scream. Restraint cuts deeper than any blow. You felt the urge to lash out, to react, to let the fire consume reason. But something inside you clicked, snapped, shifted. And instead of erupting, you paused, you weighed, you chose. And the world stumbled. They scrambled while you remained composed. They attacked while you calculated. They rushed while you moved like a shadow, silent, inevitable. Each time you resisted provocation, the chain loosened. Each measured step fractured the pattern they tried to trap you in. Every impulse denied was a victory claimed. You realized something crucial. Chaos is for the untrained, for the reactive, for those who mistake loudness for power. Mastery is quiet, lethal, invisible until it strikes. You saw the advantage in stillness. You understood the weight of patience. You became the eye of the storm, unmoved, unshaken, watching the world tumble around you. They waited for sparks. They waited for an explosion. They waited for the drama. And you waited for them, for the collapse of their expectation, for the unraveling of their certainty, for the moment when your discipline became the blade they never saw coming. It's a strange power, this sovereignty over your own emotions, a quiet dominance that no one can touch. No insult can pierce it. No attempted provocation can disturb it. You are untouchable because you have denied them leverage. Every moment of restraint, every choice over impulse, every silence over reaction, it built the fortress inside you. And the world does not notice the foundation being laid, only the inevitability when it finally moves. You understood the rhythm, the pattern, the trap, and then you broke it. No one saw the fracture form. No one heard the chain snap. But when they fell, you were already 2 steps ahead. They expected sparks. You delivered precision. They waited for you to break. You waited for them to fall. This is the power of control. danger of patience, the beauty of mastery. Chaos tempts the weak. Reaction betrays the unprepared. You are neither. Every decision is deliberate, every movement calculated, every silence loaded with consequence. Breaking the pattern is not a moment of luck. It is the accumulation of quiet victories, of unseen discipline, of mastery over the self that no one can steal. And when the dust settles, when the smoke clears, you will stand, silent, calm, unshakable. They will remember the fall. They will not remember the restraint. But that is the point. Power is quiet, lethal. Mastery is invisible until it is absolute. You have broken the pattern, and nothing will ever catch you unawares again. Nothing changed in the world. Everything changed in you. The streets, the rooms, the conversations, they carry on the same. The same noise, the same chaos. But you are different. You walk into a room and the air tightens. People notice, not consciously, not openly, but they feel it. They adjust without knowing why, without knowing how. You are calm. You are steady. You are unstoppable. The small things reveal it first. A pause in speech when you enter, a hesitation in action. Eyes flicker toward you, and they pause. They cannot touch the discipline you carry. They cannot provoke the fire you have contained. The storm you used to be is now a controlled blade, silent, lethal, waiting. They test you, gently, cautiously, and each time they fail. They try to draw sparks and find none. They try to tilt you, unsettle you, shake you, and you remain unmoved. Your presence becomes gravity, subtle, persistent, transformative. They bend around you, not the other way around. You do not chase influence. You do not demand attention. You do not assert dominance through noise. The world does it for you. People follow your rhythm without knowing it. They mirror your patience. They mimic your control. Your silence becomes louder than any scream. And in that quiet, you discover truth. Power does not shout. Authority does not glare. Mastery whispers. The world is not reacting to you. It is reacting to the calm you carry, to the precision you embody, to the discipline they cannot break. You are an anomaly, a force they cannot measure, a presence that demands adaptation, and they will adapt because resistance is wasted energy. You are calm, you are steady, you are unstoppable. The change is subtle at first, a pause in conversation, a shifted glance, a hesitation to move too quickly. Then it grows. Momentum builds quietly. The world itself bends almost imperceptibly to the rhythm you set. And you watch, not with pride, not with arrogance, but with quiet understanding. Your mastery is absolute, internal, unseen, but undeniable. Every person, every room, every challenge, it conforms, not because you force it, not because you demand it, because you have already become untouchable. And in this stillness, this control, you feel the weight of your power,
the magnitude of your self-mastery, and the world cannot ignore it. Nothing changed in the world. Everything changed in you. You are calm. You are steady. You are unstoppable. And now the world bends quietly to the presence you've earned. You don't rush. You don't react. You decide. The world thrashes, it pushes, it demands, and you wait. Not out of fear, not out of hesitation, but out of clarity. Every muscle, every thought, every breath aligned. Stillness is no longer absence, it is preparation. The chaos that once controlled you now waits for you, but you are not drawn into it. You are not a puppet of impulse. You are the observer, the strategist, the quiet force beneath the storm. Moments of anticipation used to feel like torture, a clenched jaw, a racing heart, a mind on fire, every second stretching into eternity, every option slipping through trembling hands. Not anymore. Now you sit in the center of the storm, calm, measured, indomitable. You watch the world act, you study it, you understand its rhythm, and when the moment comes, you act. Not with chaos, not with noise, but with precision, with intention. You own your timing. Every step, every word, every move, chosen, not demanded, not forced, chosen. The power you carry is silent, invisible to the untrained eye, but it shifts everything. Those who once expected eruptions now hesitate. They look to you, waiting, not for chaos, not for anger, for action, controlled, deadly, unpredictable only in its perfection. Your calm is your weapon, your patience your armor, your understanding of yourself a sword they cannot deflect. They cannot rush you, they cannot shake you, they cannot prepare for what comes next, because it is not reaction, it is mastery, it is strategy, it is inevitability. You have built it brick by brick in the silence. You have forged it in solitude. You have sharpened it in the quiet hours when the world slept, when no one watched, when your impulses begged to break free. And now it waits beneath your skin, ready to move when the moment calls, not before, not too late, but precisely when it must. This is the strength of discipline, the power of calm, the authority of mastery. You don't rush, you don't react, you decide. And when you move, the world will remember, because you are no longer a fire to be contained. You are the shadow beneath it, silent, immovable, unstoppable. Stillness is no longer absence, it is preparation, it is power, it is inevitable victory.
They thrive on chaos. You thrive on control. Every scream, every insult, every push to fracture you, it bounced off your armor. It slid right past the walls you built in silence. They never saw it coming, the calm that runs beneath your blood, the patience that sharpens every nerve, every thought, every intention. You don't react, you prevail. They wanted to provoke you, to drag you into the dirt, to watch you burn in a spectacle of rage. And you didn't play the part. You watched, you waited, you moved when it mattered. Every attempt to shake you only revealed their weakness. Their chaos is loud, messy,
desperate. Your mastery, quiet, relentless, unshakable. They laughed at your restraint. They mocked your patience. They thought silence meant fear. They were wrong. Every time they tried to pull you into their storm, you stepped aside. Every time they built a fire to consume you, you watched it flicker, watched it die, and the ashes whispered, "You are stronger than you think. You are more than they ever imagined." They don't understand what mastery is. They never will. Mastery is not in domination. Mastery is in sovereignty, in choosing your moves when the world demands chaos, in standing unshaken while the ground quakes beneath those who fear control. You outgrew them. You outgrew the need for their approval. You outgrew the habit of reacting. You outgrew the notion that their storms could ever touch you. You move with precision. You act with intention. Your presence is authority. It doesn't shout. It doesn't threaten. It simply exists, and that is enough. They will still try. They will still test, but their efforts bounce off a mind tempered by silence. Their attempts dissolve against a heart that has learned to measure every beat, every breath, every action. You don't chase, you don't beg, you don't prove yourself. You exist beyond their reach. You exist on your own terms. Every provocation becomes a lesson, every drama a mirror reflecting what you refused to be. Every chaos, a reminder that control is power, and power belongs to those who endure, not those who shout. You are calm, you are steady, you are inevitable. They thrive on chaos, you thrive on control. You don't react, you prevail. And in the end, when they collapse into their own noise, when their storms devour themselves, you stand above it all, silent, measured, unbroken, complete. They never knew this was possible. They never understood. And now it doesn't matter. You don't react. You prevail. You are not your reactions. You are your resolve. Every impulse that once tore through you, every moment that once left you raw and exposed, they are gone. You watched them, understood them, and chose something different. Discipline is no longer a choice. It is your signature. It is your identity. It is the quiet power that hums beneath your skin, steady and unstoppable. The world never sees it. They cannot, because it does not scream. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, and it commands anyway. You move through life without the tremors of emotion dictating your path. Every pause is deliberate, every action measured, every thought sharpened into clarity. You are calm, not because the world is calm, not because the storms have ended. You are calm because nothing in the world can shake the core of you. They chase recognition, you chase mastery. Their applause is a whisper. Your victories are internal, quiet, permanent, indestructible. Look at yourself. The scars that once spoke of chaos now shine as proof. The moments when you could have broken but didn't. The nights when patience was your only companion. The choices you made when the world demanded reaction. That is power. That is sovereignty. That is who you are. Calm is your language. Discipline is your declaration. You do not need to prove it. You do not need to announce it. It is immediate in every step you take, every word you withhold, every boundary you never compromise. You do not bend. You do not falter. You do not kneel. Others will try to pull you into their noise, to awaken the chaos they think resides in everyone. But you exist beyond that reach. Their storms break before they touch you. Their games are obvious to you. Their traps are transparent. Their fury impotent. You have chosen the harder path. You have chosen awareness over instinct. You have chosen mastery over indulgence. And in that choice, you have built an empire that exists entirely inside you. Your resolve is visible in the silence between their shouts. Your identity is engraved in every moment you resist the familiar lure of reaction. Your mastery is no longer external. It cannot be taken. It cannot be stolen. It is yours.
You are not angry. You are not loud. You are not desperate for validation. You are steady. You are sovereign. You are unstoppable. The world will notice, or it will not. It does not matter. You are not defined by them. You are defined by this discipline, this focus, this unshakable command over yourself. You are not your reactions. You are your resolve. Calm is your language. Discipline is your declaration. And from this place, nothing can unmake you. Nothing can sway you. Nothing can define you except what you have chosen for yourself. You are the quiet storm. You are the unmovable. You are who you decided to become. The version they never prepared for. It is not loud. It is absolute. You are not the chaos they expected. You are not the fury they wanted to provoke. You are not a shadow of their approval or their control. Look at yourself. The fire that once burned uncontrollably, the storm that once tore through every room you entered, it is now contained, refined, complete. Every choice you made, every restraint you held, every moment you watched and waited, it brought you here, to a place where you exist entirely on your own terms. They think they know you. They never did. They only understood the fragments they could manipulate, the parts they could anger, the parts they could shame. But you have rebuilt yourself from the ground up, brick by brick, moment by moment, with patience as your hammer, with discipline as your mortar. You are not defined by the chaos they engineered. You are defined by the calm you command, by the stillness that contains more power than their fury could ever muster. You don't react, you decide. You don't stumble, you move. They wait for sparks, they hope for missteps, they anticipate weakness, and yet here you are, unbroken, unshaken, unseen in the moments that matter, yet unstoppable when it counts. Your presence is authority. Your silence is declaration. Your restraint is power. And your mastery is undeniable. The world around you shifts, not because it knows how to, but because it must. Because strength carved in discipline cannot be ignored. Because evolution forged in solitude cannot be contained. Every glance they cast at you now carries something new. Recognition, respect, fear. Not of your rage, not of your volume, but of your certainty, of your completion.
You are the storm they never saw coming, contained, complete, unstoppable. This is your final declaration, not shouted, not demanded, not performed, but lived, breathed, embodied. No one can touch the core of you. No one can dismantle what you have built in silence. No one can replicate your evolution. You have crossed the threshold. You have left the old self behind, the impulsive, the reactive, the untrained. You have claimed the power they could not teach you, the authority they could not impose. You exist now as the version they never imagined, the one they could not provoke, the one they could not control, the one they cannot unmake. And in that existence, you are infinite, you are sovereign, you are complete. The version they never prepared for is not a scream, it is not a threat, it is a presence, a quiet, unshakable, absolute presence. You don't react. You are the storm they never saw coming, contained, complete, unstoppable.